Hello and welcome back to Story Hour with Dr. Jones. Today's spotlight is on Anna Washington's Crescent High, the Tale of the Dethroned Bully. Anna wrote this book when she was 13 years old. This was her first publication. Chapter 1, The Bully. "I'm so sorry. Please don't hurt me. It was an accident," a girl cried out, realizing what would be done to her. "I told you to watch where you were going, stupid little girl," said the boy the girl was talking to. He walked towards her as she trembled. He grabbed her and threw her to the ground. After that, he kicked her and walked away. "This will teach you to watch where you're going," he chuckled. The girl lay on the ground helpless, knowing that she couldn't tell the principal. She was now one of the many victims of the bully. This bully was a freshman, and he had already taken over the entire high school. There was nothing that the teachers could do. The bully's parents were super rich, and they donated copious amounts of money to the school. Wherever he walked, everyone from the youngest freshman to the oldest senior was afraid, except a select few. He would make the children do his homework, skip class, play on the phone instead of doing classwork, and he would try to cheat on tests. He would even make the teachers change the grades on his report cards. In the midst of all this, the principal and his parents still think he is an angel, since nobody can tell either of them. The bully's name was Brandon. Brandon walked through the hallway smirking. "Ha! That pathetic loser. I told her one time too many to watch where she was going. She deserved that beat down. These people will learn to respect me today," Brandon thought. The students and teachers would fear the worst if the principal was absent, because if he was, that would be the day of chaos and destruction. Brandon wouldn't even have to worry about trying to look like an angel. He only had to watch his back around the student council president and vice president. If he didn't, he would be exposed the very next time those two saw the principal. Whenever Brandon was absent, the school was like the Pax Romana. It felt like the 200 years of peace. The students were at ease for the whole day. Those who were in Brandon's homeroom were glad that Brandon wasn't there. Tremendous sighs of relief were heard from the students when they learned the spectacular news. Even the teachers would rejoice when Brandon was absent. Brandon was in science class. "Ugh, this science class gets on my nerves. I hate that stupid teacher," Brandon thought while rolling his eyes. His thoughts were drowning out whatever his teacher had to say. "That woman always blabs on dumb stuff. I'm so sick of her." Since Brandon was bored, he just sat there and thought about who he would bully next. He thought about what he would do to them. "Oh yeah, that reminds me. I have to make that stupid little boy do my homework. I almost forgot." Brandon was slumped in his chair in the back of the classroom and didn't pay attention to the teacher's lecture at all. He disregarded whatever the teacher had to say. He was in tune with his thoughts and not inclining an ear to the teacher. While he was lost in his thoughts, he missed the announcement that a test would be taking place. Then the bell rang, releasing the students to their next class. No teacher dared to call on Brandon to answer a question in class. They knew they would be in for a world of hurt. All they wanted to do was teach the lesson with no interruptions. They tried to keep a peaceful atmosphere in the classroom. This would be nearly impossible with Brandon around. Their teaching career was turned into gruesome and merciless warfare. The science teacher, Miss Walsh, tried calling on Brandon once. She thought that she could get Brandon to pay attention and engage in class. She told the other teachers her plan. All the teachers burst out in laughter and called the idea crazy. Her husband asked Mrs. Walsh if she had been hit in the head by an asteroid. Mrs. Walsh scoffed and executed her plan. When she called on Brandon, she had a smirk forming within her already. She could see it now, her husband and co-workers' faces, and the, "Oh, Mrs. Walsh, you were right." All Victoria's thoughts were turned into dust. She was cussed out with all types of cuss words that she never even heard about. That was the first and last time she ever called on Brandon. Finally, it was the 8th period of class. That was everyone's favorite period. It was their favorite period because as soon as the bell rang, school was over. 8th period was also homeroom. "Hallelujah, 8th period at last," a student said. The children would bolt out of the classroom. They hoped that Brandon would not stand in their way to terrorize them. The track team were always the first people out of the school. Everybody wanted to get home as fast as they could before Brandon could get to them. Some made a whole recap escape plan just to stay away from his clutches. That's the end of chapter 1. If you want to know what happens further in Crescent High, Tale of the Dethroned Bully, just how is it that Mr. Brandon is going to get dethroned? To find out, you'll have to order this book online at sablooms.org. sablooms.org.
Crescent High, Tale of the Dethroned Bully is also available online anywhere you can buy books.
So until next time, where I'll be spotlighting another amazing work of literature from our K through 12 students.